Hello and welcome. So we're going to do some right triangle trig. Let's dive right into it. So it says, suppose we have a triangle, a right triangle specifically, that contains the angle theta in quadrant 1 such that the secant of theta is 10/7. Enter the exact values of the trig functions below. So first off, in case you forgot, quadrants in math is your coordinate plane, right? If you use the x and y axis, it cuts it into 4 sections. And these sections we call quadrants. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4 counterclockwise. So this is your triangle quadrant 1. Theta always closest to origin. Alright, so here's your triangle and say, okay, great. Now we have our right triangle. Let's fill in some information. We're given secant. And secant, you might remember, is the reciprocal of cosine. How I know that is you have your three main functions, right? So let's write this off to the side. We'll need it. So we have SOHCAHTOA. Alright, sine, cosine, tangent. So those are your main three functions. So you have your tangents, tangent, then you have sine, and you have cosine. Those are your main three. Now the other three, cotangent, secant, and cosecant, those are reciprocals of the main three. So I'd say, okay, well, how do we remember this? I remember them S with a C. So I'd say, all right, well, cosine starts with a C. So its reciprocal has to start with an S. Secant. Right? Because it's not one of the main three functions. Sine is already there, so the reciprocal of cosine can't be sine. And then I'd say, all right, well, now sine starts with an S. Its reciprocal starts with a C. Now, the reason why it's not cotangent and that it's cosecant is because tangent is the only pair that sounds like it should actually be a pair. Or it's tangent and cotangent. They sound like they should be. It's like pilot and co-pilot. They sound like they should go together because they do. Okay? Alrighty, so that is your 6 trig functions. So when I say, alright, well, cosine. Alright, its reciprocal is secant. So if secant is 10/7, that means your cosine of theta is 7/10. And you actually can just put those right down in your answer, right? 7/10 and 10/7. And why we care about this is that now, using your little acronym, SOHCAHTOA, you'd be able to realize, hey look, cosine is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Well, the side adjacent to theta is right here. It's right next to theta. Here's your hypotenuse. And we know that it's adjacent over hypotenuse, so 7 must be our adjacent side, 10 hypotenuse. Bam! Right? Now you can simply use Pythagorean theorem, find the third side you need. So you say, alright, well, that'd be your a squared, so leg squared, plus your other leg, which we don't know, I'm going to call it b, equals your hypotenuse squared. So then that'd be 49 plus b squared equals 100. Subtract the 49, both sides, and we get b squared equals 51. We undo a square with a square root. Remember, you need to have plus or minus on there as soon as you take a square root. Now keep in mind that for this particular triangle, though, you are looking at you're going right and you're going up. Now up is a positive direction, which means that you're looking at a positive root 51. Okay, as long as you're told you're in quadrant 1, you don't have to worry about negatives, essentially. Alright, so then we get b equals the square root of 51. Now 51 is not going to break down, not nicely. You won't be able to simplify this any further to what it already is, which means you are home free, right? Does it break down? I believe it does. Isn't that 3 and 17, I think? Yeah, 51 divided by 3. Yeah, which 7's prime down, which means root 51 is your side over here. So then, all we got to do is you say, alright, well, now, just fill in the information. Once you know your triangle, that's the hardest part, is getting it down. Now you just use your SOHCAHTOA to fill in the rest of it. We know sine is the opposite side, so opposite of theta is your root 51 over hypotenuse. So then that is going to be square root 51 over 10. Opposite over hypotenuse. Now double check. There's a 1 in front of your square root and a 10. That's not going to simplify any further. There's nothing more you can do. Alright? You're good for that one. And then you know its reciprocal is cosecant. That's 10 over square root 51. Just flip your fraction. Okay? Now, you could, if you wanted to, you could also rationalize this, which is multiplying root 51 to the top and bottom. Right? So then you have 10 square root 51 over 51 two of the same thing, one of them comes out. And you could also put this in for cosecant, and that would be a correct answer as well. Alright, and then last but not least, we have tangent and cotangent. Tangent is by our SOHCAHTOA, the opposite and adjacent, right? The OA. So here's your O, here's your A, opposite, adjacent to your theta. So opposite, root 51, adjacent, 7. Bam! There's your tangent. Cotangent is just the reciprocal, 7 over square root 51. And you are done. You have found all of your 6 trig functions. You could rationalize this one as well if you want to, but it'll mark it correct either way. Alright, thanks for watching.